It is Charles Dickens' Great Expectations. I'm doing a one-woman performance of it, playing 19 of the characters, and I play them all just turning and talking to each other using technique that Richard Pryor did in his stand-up shows, which I did in my stand-up shows, and now I'm doing in drama. I take a long time as a dyslexic kid to go to read books. I kind of sub-vocalize and I go through the words, and it's tricky for me. But it was Charles Dickens. I wanted to do a Charles Dickens story, and actually the company that I did the audiobook with, they said, let's do Great Expectations. It's one of the more mature books that were written in the later years of his life. Some of the earlier books are and they're all married to each other. They all lived happily ever after. And this one is it's kind of like the American dream story of coming from nowhere, getting all the money in the world, but then realizing it doesn't make him happy, and he has actually corrupted his whole attitude to his friends and the people who've helped him throughout his life. So he learns life lessons, and by the end of the story is a changed person, hopefully for the better. And people some of the members of the Dickens family have already seen a preview. So that's, great grandchildren, I think, were turning up. And there's lots of great grandchildren around the world who are Dickenses. But yeah, nice to do it. And I share the same birthday as him. 1812, I was 7th of February 1962. So we're exactly 150 years apart. So that's our link.
I did think it was quite an undertaking. And, I do like a challenge. She likes a challenge too.
So. I mean, I try not to be surprised by anything that Eddie proposes. Some of his ideas are a bit off the scale. This one seemed quite reasonable.
Me and my brother were 50% exactly the same and 50% totally different. So sometimes we're exactly heading in the same direction. Sometimes we're going, no, this is. I think it should be. You think it should be that way. But I think it's worked. Working with siblings is always tricky. But we also have Selina Cadell, our director, with us. So between the three of us, we're often going, I think this. What do you think, Mark? Selina, are you backing Mark or are you backing me on this? And so we have these, if 2 out of 3 agree, then we tend to go with the majority shareholders, on the artistic decisions.
We all have our particular favourites, and when we've sat round a table and talked about a scene, we have each argued for bits that we would like to see in it. But we found that teamwork is very good for us and good for this production.
It's a real collaboration, without any doubt at all, between all of us. It couldn't be anything otherwise, because it's so off the beat. It's so unusual. We've got to be able to get on and do it together, and that's unusual that we can manage that.
Didi Hopkins, who's helping me with the characterizations, the thing is if you're playing characters and slightly turning and holding positions for them in a scene, so that the audience holds the positions where you're standing, you can tend to make them sound all very similar. Their body language is all very similar, and Didi just helps me pull that apart.
One of the things that we want to do is make sure that the pictures between the characters are really sharp and defined. And because my background is in commedia dell'arte, which is a very kind of physical style of theatre and an old tradition, it's full of archetypes and different characters. So it's that sort of very fast, big technique which comes from the street, obviously Ed's background as well, that feeds into making this Great Expectations come alive in a way that kind of mirrors the characters and what, Ed does with them. One of my favourite moments is the first time we see Miss Havisham, because she's so spiky. And she requires Ed to just show a female an old female in a very kind of, it's like a really sharp, edgy way with a bit of age. And it's just wonderful to see that transformation, because with that action and that sound, you get immediately the picture of who she is.
I like playing Estella because as a trans woman, it's kind of interesting to play an ice queen. It's kind of gorgeous looking person, even though I look like myself, but just to embody that thinking, this is, and I have to reach down into myself and say and feel like her. So that's interesting. And Havisham is great to do, but Estella is quite a curious character to embody as much as I can. But then Herbert is fun to play, Wemmick is fun to play, Jaggers. I like Jaggers because he's actually a bit of a bastard, but he always does everything legally, absolutely legally. So he'll never say a single word that can put him into hot water. And I do like that edge of him. Pip Pip is the complete journey for us, so it's there's less fun in that because it's the complete story with Pip. But Herbert and Wemmick are the two characters I think I love playing the most.
That, you know, if you've only got one person playing 19 different parts, you absolutely got to make the words really clear. Otherwise, we're never going to know when you're going to be one person or the other person. So the intentions and the thought changes have got to be clearer than ever. And actually, I think that's something that is often missing currently in theatre, which is very over-designed, over-conceptual, and quite often you don't really understand the words. So it's made us really concentrate on the text. And I find that very exciting. I love that. To me, that's the most important part of it. I'm not really someone who's that interested in imposing concepts on top of things. So it's about really finding the truth of the text and then owning it. You know.
So I'll be up here every night, and I never see the show because I'm in it. I play 19 of the characters. What the hell? Anyway, love to see you.
Good Lord, I've spent my life queuing up for tickets in Times Square when I couldn't afford a Broadway show. It's been absolutely fabulous. I've always done that. I just think it's marvellous. And, you know, it's so marvellous because every time I come to New York, I think maybe it won't still be there. And it is. So, have you done that?
No.
Last time you did. What have you been doing?